And now I want to welcome to the stage a man who needs no introduction. As an entrepreneur and investor, he has been responsible for some of our most innovative high-tech companies and developments in this sector. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk to us about the UK's contribution to computing over recent years and about the exciting developments to come, Dr. Hermann Hauser.
Chancellor, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely delighted to be here during these days of the Olympics to talk to you about the British innovation ecosystem. During these days of the Olympics, as you will see, to create an innovative ecosystem is actually a team sport. Of course, you need world-class research, and I will tell you a little bit about that. Britain is actually doing very well in the research domain. It needs very good design, because if you want your products to be bought by a large number of people, they have to be attractive as well as technically superior. The business model point is an interesting one, and probably not one that people immediately think of when they think of innovation, but there is as much innovation in the business model, in how these new companies do business, as it is in the products and services that they sell. I'll talk to you about a few of the innovation sectors that are about to become major sectors, because I've lived in the future for most of my life and I have no reason to change now. And last but not least, with the Chancellor present, it's always good to make some comments on government policy and how government can help. Normally this is an opportunity to moan and ask for certain other tax incentives or whatever. But I must say the government has been listening and has been incredibly supportive of our innovation system, and I give you some examples towards the end of my talk. So let us start off with research. Britain has indeed been number 2 only to the United States when it comes to citations, which is the way the researchers measure themselves through peer-reviewed publications. When it comes to Nobel laureate, we've got 101. Which again is second only to the United States. As we have already heard from Ian, we're second. We have got 4 of the 10 universities in the world. That's of course Cambridge, another university called Oxford, and UCL and Imperial College. Cambridge in particular, of course, is the world's #1 university now, having beaten Harvard into second place in the ranking, which is the only ranking that really matters. It's the QS ranking, but it is the ranking that is the peer-reviewed ranking. So it is actually the other universities that have put Cambridge for the first time ahead of Harvard, who of course was a Cambridge alumnus, and therefore we can probably claim the first 2 slots in the world. Design. Design is just as important as technology. And amazingly, and this is not normally something associated with Britain, we are actually absolutely world-class in design. Everybody knows about James Dyson, and of course he's very much a Brit. Fewer people know that the iPhone, which is probably the iconic product in the world now and always gets top marks for design, was actually designed by a Brit called Johnny Ive, now Sir Johnny Ive, because the government actually appreciates world-class designers. I lived in Italy for 3 years as VP of Research for Olivetti in the Olivetti heydays, which was an absolutely wonderful time. And to my total amazement, the design companies in Milano, and Italy is normally the country that's associated with design, I found some of the leading designers in Milano, in the top design companies, were actually British. So there is something about the British genes that is very design-oriented. So let me now make this point about the business model. and tell you about our #1 technology company in Cambridge, and tell you about some really quite amazing figures. Not only has ARM become the #1 licensing company in the world with a market cap of about $12 billion, but this year we're selling 8 billion ARMs. Some of you might know that the population of the world is 7 billion ARMs, so this is 7 billion people. So this is actually more ARMs than people on Earth. It also happens to be more microprocessors than Intel has sold in its entire history. But the even more amazing figure is that since 2010, the value of the ARM chips that we collect a royalty on has overtaken Intel microprocessor sales. So even in dollar terms, ARM is now a more important architecture than the well-known Intel Inside architecture. But really, 95% of the world's phones are ARM-powered, and there is a new thing called a tablet. Now, a tablet is a most unusual event in the computer history, and it's one that has only happened 5 times before. I call it the 5th wave of computing, after mainframes, mini-computers, workstations, and PCs. It's a new category. It's a new wave in computing. And if you look at the history of computing, waves don't coexist. The new wave always kills the previous one. And we're now in a post-PC wave with a thing called a tablet, but it actually is just a mobile phone on steroids. Because it is not the PC architecture, it is not Intel-powered, it is ARM-powered. And it has caused a veritable revolution in the way people use computers. But let me look ahead into the future about innovative sectors. Where are the new sectors that will create the growth in the economy? You've already heard from the Chancellor the phenomenal expansion of Tech City, the wonderful creation of lots of companies in that area that will serve the internet and are serving the internet. And you've also heard about international companies to support this Tech City effort, which I think has been one of the great new supports of the government and shows the government's commitment to innovation. But there are many other new technologies, and probably the biggest one that I want to talk about is life sciences. As I told you, I've lived in the future all my life. I spend a lot of my time in the university laboratories, and what I can see is a veritable tsunami of breakthroughs in life sciences based on molecular cell biology. I've been investing in high technology for 30 years. I have never seen anything like this. And let me give you one example, which is Alexa, which revolutionized gene sequencing. This is a Cambridge company which was originally founded by 2 professors of chemistry, David Klinneman and Shankar Balasubramanian, and it managed to reduce gene sequencing of a human genome from $10 million to $1,000. This is a factor of 10,000. I've been living off Moore's law all my life, which is a factor of 32 every decade. This is a factor of 10,000 in less than a decade. So since we did rather well with this company, it became my 5th billion-dollar company. I thought I'd look for some more, whether there are other areas where the improvements can be measured by a factor of 1,000 or 10,000. And indeed, I have found quite a number of them in our university departments. So this is an area to watch, because health, of course, as we all know, is a big problem, but also a big opportunity for our companies and countries. This has revolutionized sequencing so fast and so fundamentally that an American company called ABI, which used to have a 90% market share in sequencing, managed to provide the CEO that we hired from them, because he used to run the $1 billion division of ABI that had the 90% market share in gene sequencing. And when we met him, we said, we've got bad news and we've got good news for you. And the bad news is we have this machine running in Cambridge, which is at that time 100 times faster and cheaper than the one that you're selling. We're going to blow you out of the water. The good news is we want you to do it. And being an MIT graduate in physics, he was smart enough to go and do his own due diligence to find out whether this is really the case. And of course it was, and he joined us. And this is really an example of our ability to attract worldwide management talent, because the number one problem that we used to have in the past, of course, is not technology. It was the management talent that we could attract to turn these technologies into world-class and world-beating companies. He joined the company, and this is a story worth telling because it just shows the importance of the quality of CEOs. He arrived in Cambridge and pronounced to the team that we are going to deliver a 1G machine in 1 year's time. 1G is 1 billion base pairs per experiment. Stunned silence. Some of the best people that we had in the company left in disgust. Said, the guy's an idiot. There is no way we can deliver a working machine in 1 year's time. And they were both right. We did deliver a 1G machine in 12 months' time, and it didn't work. But that's what good management is all about. He was from the marketing department, and he knew that there was a market for machines that didn't work because he'd been selling them to for many years. Now, why, would you ask, is there a market for machines that didn't quite work? Well, as it turned out, all the people that he talked to, which were the big gene sequencing centers in the world, had one big problem, and that is have lower cost, higher throughput gene sequencing. And he offered them a machine that potentially could be 100 times bigger and faster and better than the machines that they had. He was very open with them and he said, it doesn't quite work yet, but I can only work with 2 or 3 of you because I'm a very small company. If you work with me, in another year, we can make it work. They all paid full price, and the rest is history. We now have a 90% market share in gene sequencing. It's one of our great success stories. So let me finish off with a few remarks about government, because actually it is difficult to moan about government when it comes to the support for IT. You've already heard about the R&D tax credit that we have. It's 225% of the amount of money that you spend on R&D. Most of my investee companies live for another quarter on these R&D tax credits. It's very important also that we have entrepreneurship visas to bring in the bright young people from anywhere in the world and attract them to Tech City. And let me also repeat the point that Chancellor made about the patent box. This is a very important development because sometimes the business model, as we've seen with ARM, is very IP-centric, very patent-centric, and it's very important that Britain is a low tax regime, has a low tax regime for patents. But let me talk about a very specific initiative called the Catapult Centers, because I wrote a report for the government on technology innovation centers, knowing that the most fundamental breakthroughs at our universities will take probably more than 10 years to come to fruition and create the spin-outs and the licensing opportunities that we all want. Since venture capital funds are 10-year funds, there is no way that the venture capital industry can support that or fund that. The only organization that can do that is the government and very large companies. And that's exactly what Catapult Centers do. About 1/3 of the money is from large companies, 1/3 from government, and 1/3 for specific projects. Under what conditions should government intervene? Only if these markets are potentially very large, multi-billion dollars, if they build on world-class science, which we have, in partnership with global companies, and a few examples are cell therapies, renewable energies, and we do indeed now have £200 million which was the only new initiative announced by the Chancellor in the otherwise very severe cutting budget that he announced. And we're just building up the first few of these Catapult Centers. So in conclusion, I've been telling you that to have a vibrant innovation ecosystem really requires an Olympic spirit of teamwork. And it's a teamwork between research, design, being clever about the business model, chasing new, exciting, innovative sectors, and having the support of government. Thank you very much.